I did mention like the things that this teacher does. It's Miss Heath. Basically, in class, we always sit in lab tables. The individual desks are only used for like if you want to see better. And I feel like when I tell other people that, they're always surprised because they always use the individual desks. And I feel like that's really important, the seating, because obviously I feel like that kind of, if you want to ask questions, that eases the tension. Like you don't have to like immediately ask the teacher, because I feel like she emphasizes asking the students first and then asking the teacher, because one, that's forming connections and that's like blending different minds. One of the things I also mentioned was kind of like forcing that question aspect. My Miss Heath always does that. Usually at the end of a unit, she'll have us talk like through the different topics and come up with questions that we could ask the whole class. I feel like that's something that she does well, and I really appreciate for that, because that really helped me prepare for summatives.
In my boys self-defense class, first semester of junior year, I felt really valued and respected by Ms. Meyer. She was the teacher for the class, and she taught it for one semester. It was a one-semester class where it was boys self-defense. And it was a little different from girls self-defense, where it was more focused on like prevention rather than like actual like defense, because of the different like encounters there are and the like different times like you'd need to defend yourself. Most of the time, boys would be like getting into like fights with each other, and she really put a lot of emphasis on men's mental health, which was really awesome and good to hear. And she was super respectful for the whole thing. I've always had great memories in band class with Mr. Dahl and Mr. Meisty. They do a really great job of building a great community in the whole band program across the 4 bands and the marching band.
I'll like refer back to a lot my summer school, but it's because Miss Reeder was amazing. She was very patient with all her students, and if we didn't understand something, because it's physics, it's hard, she'd be very patient. She'd go through step by step by step. And that was different from a lot of other teachers, because, you're so busy. You have to go help this student, this student, this student. But if you try to really take the time, it's hard, but patience really goes a long way, because it helps the students feel like you actually care, but it's also making a difference in their learning, because they're learning more that way.
So last year in my AP Bio class, Mrs. Patel, my teacher, she had a really big impact on like my belonging at LT. Every class she'd start off by asking a question and everybody would answer, and I think it just helped like the class like come together a lot more. And she'd also have like class competitions, which would bring your class closer together, because you were kind of like competing against a different class to try to like win a end of the week like party or something to bring in like food and stuff. And we'd also do like food Fridays where we'd bring in food, and I think that also just like brought like the stress of like taking the class down. It was more fun, and it like got all the kids to connect. I think that like was definitely the most influential.
The staff at LT are great, especially the office staff. When it was my first time at North Campus, I walked past the office, and Mrs. Parkhill and Heaven, they both welcomed me the second I came in. And ever since, we've been really good friends. Every day, we say hi to each other, we check up on each other, and staff all around LT are just amazing. One memory at LT that made me feel belonged was Mrs. Krause in my Spanish class. Every day when I'd come in, she always knew she was up to date on what I did with Spanish, what I did with student council, and track. She'd give me pointers on what I should do next, and because of that, we built a long-lasting connection where she can help foster what I do in the future. Even in my freshman year, when stuff wasn't going great, I'd walk into Mr. O'Neill's classroom, and he'd come up to me, make that little joke, and it set me up for a great rest of the day.